Hello and welcome to Nights at the Game Table. We're here at Pat's Games in Austin, Texas. I'm Kevin.
I'm Arya.
And today we're going to be telling you everything you need to know about Guilds of Ravnica lore.
To keep up to date with everything at Nights at the Game Table, all you have to do is click subscribe and then hit that tiny little notification button next to it, so every time we upload a new video, YouTube will be sure to let you know.
Now, Ravnica is a plane like all of the other Magic Gathering settings, but it's also a city, right, Arya?
Yeah, it's pretty different from other ones. Like, if you've been playing the last couple of years, look at Amonkhet as a good example, right? Or Ixalan. You see a world that's very vast. You can see like deserts, but then you also see oceans, and all the cards are taking place in sort of different backgrounds. Ravnica is very different from that. Ravnica is a place, it is a city, it is the city of guilds, they call it.
It's an enormous city.
It's a very, very large city, and basically all the action that's taking place in the story happens in this one large city. And that changes a couple things, actually. One thing it changes is that green cards, which we usually see in sort of a forest or like, some sort of nature background, we now start to see green creatures in an urban setting, which really you only see in cards in Ravnica.
Yeah.
That's very rare in other sets to see that. But also what makes it interesting is the fact that there's some kind of like unique cards that are very specific to Ravnica. Like one thing I'm thinking about is Generous Stray.
The cat.
The cat, yeah. It's a 3-mana 1/2. It's seeing a stray cat in like Dominaria, you'd be like, why is there a stray cat here? But in Ravnica, which is just a giant metropolis, a big city, it makes sense that there's a stray cat running around. So I think it's kind of cool that they're able to draw upon this like knowledge we have of what happens in a big city, what happens in like an urban center, and use some of those details in the cards, which I think is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Stylistically, some of the art is kind of themed around Eastern European cities like Istanbul, Budapest, right, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think that their kind of idea behind it is that Ravnica as a city is so big that there's all these different kinds of architecture in it. So in some cards, you're going to see like traditional, like a skyscraper like you might see today. And in other cards, you'll notice there's actually sort of older parts of it too. It's just a very like interesting, different, especially from other blocks, setting for a plane on Magic for it just to be all taking place in the same large city.
In particular with that Eastern European style, I'm thinking like at one point Istanbul was kind of the key to the world with the Ottoman Empire.
Sure.
It was the thing where all the trade flowed through. And maybe there's some of that. There's also there's an old Dungeons & Dragons setting called Planescape where they had Sigil, the city in which the multiverse kind of connected. And it's kind of a recurring theme you see throughout various lores where you've got this centerpiece city where everything coexists at the same time. You really get that blend of everything in one place with Ravnica.
Yeah, you really do. And one of the things that's interesting about it is you have these 10 guilds. They all live in the same place, and that's where we get these tensions and and these rivalries and these backroom deals, and that's where you get the drama of Ravnica. So it's pretty cool.
Each of the guilds has as two of the colors of magic, right? Each of them
Yes.
are bound across two colors.
Correct. And so in this particular set, there are 5 of the 10 guilds. The first one we could probably talk about is Boros. The Boros Legion is basically just a big army, if you want to break it down.
So where do they get their orders from?
I believe that each of the guilds acts somewhat independently, but they have a coalition as well, where they can communicate with each other. Of course, the plot and the storyline of this set is that the guilds aren't getting along so well. But the Boros are an army that helps with keeping the peace, but also can be mobilized against an external foe, such as, I don't know, Nikolas or somebody like that.
In case he rears his ugly head
Yes.
again.
Right. So with the Boros, you're going to see on cards like a lot of military references. You're going to see a lot of references to battle, and then like their mechanic in the set is Mentor, where you see kind of like one soldier sort of helping another soldier get better at his or her job.
Mm-hmm. Also branching out from white, we've got the Selesnya, am I saying all right?
Selesnya Conclave. Right, so Conclave means sort of like a big group, and the Selesnya Conclave, they are the green-white color pair, and they care all about nature. So that's
They're basically a hippie cult, right?
pretty much. If you remember, like way back in the original Ravnica, you have like Watchwolf, which was a green-white creature that was a 3/3. And if you look at the Lesniak cards, largely, yeah, you can see there's a few humans, there's a few elves in there, but even the creatures that aren't like a beast or aren't like an elephant or aren't some sort of creature type that's not a human or an elf or some sort of humanoid creature, they're all, whether it's a humanoid or whether it's an animal or whether it is some combination of the two, they're all related to nature. That's going to be your big thing with Selesnya. That's your tip-off. You're looking at a Selesnya card most of the time, is that they care about nature and growth.
Okay. Then we've got ourselves the Gogari Swarm.
Yes. So Gogari, the best way I always think about Gogari is if you think about cards like Overgrown Tomb is the perfect example. It's the land for Gogari, the shotgun that's green and black. It's growing, but it's still a tomb, right? So it's like green is the growth part. We can grow, there's some sort of a life that's growing and happening, but at the same time, death is a big part of it. The other one, the recently banned in Legacy, Deathrite Shaman. Deathrite Shaman to me is like the perfect example of Gogari lore and a Gogari kind of flavor on one card, where it's a card that cares about graveyards, has abilities that care about graveyards, but can deal damage and gain life. So it can gain life is the kind of growth part, the damage part, losing life is kind of the death part. To me, those kind of cards are great examples of what Gogari is all about. In this set, you see cards with Undergrowth, which cares about how many creature cards are in your graveyard, but it uses that information to gain something else. So it's very good at Gogari ability. It's using what has died or what's been put into the graveyard for some sort of a benefit or effect.
Basically turn you into compost.
Yeah, there are multiple zombie elves, if that helps you as a shorthand for the Golgari. If you see a zombie elf in Magic, it's going to be Golgari. So.
Then we've got the Izzet League.
Yes, the Izzet League is really, they call it a league, but there's really only two people that really matter. One, of course, is Niv-Mizzet. He is just a genius dragon who creates technology for their world. In the previous Ravnica, Return to Ravnica, he created this thing called Mizzium, which was sort of like the perfect substance they could use for any number of different purposes. And in this new set, he's creating some new contraptions with Jumpstart, I think is what he's doing. He's jumpstarting some new stuff, so that way they're going to have some new technology to use. But what's interesting going on inside of Izzet is that there is a second planeswalker in Izzet. There's also Ral. So Ral Zarek is an Izzet planeswalker, a blue-red planeswalker, but one of the sort of hidden secrets of the lore in this set is that he is a planeswalker, he can move between planes, but his boss, Niv-Mizzet, doesn't know that. So there's some kind of an internal thing going on with Ral and Niv-Mizzet
Is
that
Niv-Mizzet
should be
planeswalker
interesting.
himself?
Yes, he can travel between planes, I believe, yes.
Okay.
But he also loves Ravnica and wants to stay in Ravnica, whereas Ral, we've seen on Planeswalker cards, has the ability to go to other planes.
Interesting. Well, finally, we've got House Damir.
Yes, so the last one I think is, to me, the most interesting in some ways, is Damir. So Damir's whole thing is that it is a secret guild that trades on rumors, gossip, and does things like secret assassinations of some of Ravnica's politicians. Damir is all about sowing discontent without appearing outwardly as though you're doing anything. So Damir is all about secrecy, and I think that they do a great job in the set of capturing that flavor with Damir's mechanic, Surveil. Even just like the name, it's just a perfect Damir name. You know, we're studying you, we're looking, but you don't necessarily know that I'm there, right? I'm surveilling you, it's surveillance.
And you could end up in the graveyard.
You might end up in the graveyard.
Surveil.
You might not, absolutely. So, and as we talked about earlier when we were speaking about the trailer, it seems like in this set, a lot of the action is being dictated by Lazav, the head of the Damir.
So in the previous Ravnica sets, the guilds have kind of kept each other in check fairly well, but now it looks like things are going out of kilter. Is that right?
Yeah, so where we left off Ravnica is from the previous block, which is Return to Ravnica block. At the end of that block, they formed what they called the Guild Pact, where they sort of came together. But as we've already seen from the trailer and some of the cards in this set, that is no longer happening. The guilds are no longer getting along. There's something happening behind the scenes.
And there's some big change coming up.
There's something going on with these guilds where it's not as harmonious as it's been.
And Nikolas is in the frame, is he?
Nikolas has been hiding out for a while now in the background of many of the different blocks we've been to. Nikolas the Ravager, a legal card in Standards, probably a little bit of a hint there. So we're going to have to see how it all pans out with that. But he is definitely waiting in the wings for sure.
Yes, his fingerprints all over it, and those are big.
Yeah, you've seen some of those
Big,
cards. He's got some big
mind-wiping fingerprints.
Yeah, we've got our share of dragons happening. It's cool. Like I think that as far as storyline, as far as looking at like a self-contained block that just makes sense as far as the flavor of the cards. To me, I love Ravnica the most. I think Ravnica, they just nail exactly what each color combination does, and the flavor of what that group is all about really trickles down to what the individual cards accomplish in a game.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next.
I'm looking forward to the pre-release where I can choose which blue card I want to play with. Is it going to be blue-black or blue-red?
Aria, thank you once again.
Thank you so much.
That's been our guide to the lore of Guilds of Ravnica. And if you've enjoyed this video, please take a moment to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you'll be seeing a lot more of us in the near future. Thank you, and we'll see you next time on Knights at the Game Table.